whenever you have an equation like this, what you're supposed to do, the first step of solving any equation is to try to simplify, right? Now, what does simplify mean? It means either distributive property or combining like terms. That's what simplify means. If you forgot that, you need to remember that. So there it is. The first step to solving any equation is to simplify each side one at a time, and simplify means distributive property and combining like terms. So if we ignore the right side and just focus in on the left side, what could we do there? We could distribute 2 times 7, and we'll get 14, and 2 times 3t. Now you could call this a positive 3t. So 2 times positive 3t will be a positive 6t. All right? Maybe I'll do the t with 2 slashes so you don't confuse it with the plus sign. Anyhow, that's distributive property. There is no more distributive property here. We already did it. You can't combine these guys. You can't go 4 plus 6t because this is a variable and this is just a regular number. You can't go combine those guys together. They're not alike. So let's take a look at the other side, because this side's already simplified. And on the other side, it's already simplified also. It's just a negative t. So you're just going to bring down the equal sign, bring down the minus t, and now you need to solve. What does solve mean? It means to get the letter by itself on one side. So we want to get the t, the variable, by itself on one side. The thing is, you have t on both sides of the equal sign. You don't want it on both sides. You want it on one side only. So what are we going to do? You got to get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of the 6t by subtracting 6t. That's going to cancel out. 6t take away 6t is nothing. And of course, what you do to one side, you do to the other side, subtract 6t over here. And you'll get a negative 7t. Let me actually write that in a different color so we don't get confused. Negative 7t. And bring down the equal sign and bring down what's left over here, the 14. Just bring that down. So you have your new equation that says 14 equals negative 7t. And for your final step, you're simply going to get rid of that negative 7 in front of the t. How do we get rid of this negative 7 in front of the t? Anybody? How do we get rid of the negative 7 in front of the t? You go plus 7? No, you don't do plus 7. You divide by that same value, negative 7. See, the thing is, this is saying negative 7 times t, so you want to get rid of the multiplication of negative 7. The way to get rid of something is to do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 7 is dividing by negative 7. So I put it divided by negative 7 on both sides. That cancels out, and you'll have your final answer that says t equals negative 2. Or negative 2 equals t, but I would write it t equals negative 2. So that's your answer to number 2 on the worksheet. Whoa, what's happening? So on this next one, we want to solve just the same. You want to simplify each side. That's step 1. Step 1 is to simplify each side, one side at a time. That means simply to do distributive property and combining like terms if it's there. So I like to cover one side up and just focus in on one side at a time. So I want to cover up the the right side of the equal sign, and I'm going to simplify the left side. So is there any distributive property? Absolutely. We could distribute the 3. 3 times a is 3a. 3 times 1 is 3. And let's also bring down this minus 5 that's left over. Just bring it right down. And I might as well bring down the equal sign right there. Now, I've already distributed the 3, but we also have combining like terms. There's 1, 2, 3 terms. Out of those 3 terms, you could combine the middle one, the positive 3, with the minus 5, because both of those are numbers. So what is positive 3 minus 5? Negative 2. That's right, negative 2. So you're going to have a negative 2 right here. You're going to bring down the 3a, and could we subtract 3a, take away 2? No, we can't. Those are different terms. So I'm simply going to bring down the equal sign once again. So that's as far as you could simplify the left side. And that's what we're talking about when we say the first step is to simplify one at a time. Simplify each side one at a time. I've already simplified the left, and now let's simplify the right. So I'm going to move this over, and cover up everything we've done here. And just focusing on the right side. Is there any distributive property here? No. Answer is no. Is there any combining like terms? No. No, so this is already simplified. All I need to do is bring it down right here. So I'm going to bring it down. Let me get this guy out of the way. Let me bring down the 3a minus 2. 3a minus 2. Now at this point, if you look at your equation, you could see that the left side is the same identical thing as the right side. I'm talking about same exact thing. So at this point you could stop working and just say that your a value, what's the answer going to be? All real numbers. The symbol for that would be a R with the 2 sticks on it. So this is your answer, all real numbers. Now what does that really mean? That means that it doesn't matter what you plug in here and here. You can plug in a 10 right there and a 10 right there. It's going to say 30 take away 2, which is 28. 30 take away 2 is 28. That's a true statement. So you could plug in a pi right here and a pi right there, and both sides are going to be equal. Once you see that both sides are equal, you could just say that it doesn't matter what a is. A could be any number you want. That's why a equals all real numbers. What do you guys think? Cool. Let's move on to number 4. No, not number 4. Let's see, which other ones did I pick? Number 5. So let's distribute. Again, first step is to simplify each side one at a time. That means distributive property and combining like terms if there's any. Sometimes it's already simplified for you. So let's take a look at the left side only. And let's distribute 5 times f. That's 5f. Plus 5 times 2. That's 10. That's all you could do on the left side. So let's cover up the left side now and focus in on the right side, and let's distribute there. 2 times 3, that's 6, and 2 times negative f, that's negative 2f. Bring down the equal sign, and ladies and gentlemen, we have our simplified equation. There is nothing else to do on the left or right side. You can't combine like terms here, you can't combine like terms there. It's simplified. So now what we have to do is get rid of you want to get the f by itself on one side. This is the second portion I'm talking about, the solving part, to get the variable by itself on one side. Okay? Now, what does that mean? You have the f on the left side of the equal sign. You also have an f on the right side of the equal sign. So what you want to do is get both f's to one side. You don't want them on both sides. So let's get rid of this minus 2f by doing the opposite, plus 2f. That's going to cancel it out. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. You're going to have 7f plus 10 equals 6. And from here, you need to get the f by itself. You don't want the 7, but you don't also want the 10. Which one do you get rid of first, the 7 or the 10? 10, that's right. So we're going to subtract 10. Cancel, subtract 10. We're going to end up with 7f is equal to negative 4. Because 6 take away 10 is negative 4. Now, what's our final step here? Divide by 7. Could we divide negative 4 by 7? No, but notice we satisfied our goal to get f by itself. The 7's canceled, f is by itself. That's all we want. So that's our actual answer. F equals, and you just leave it, negative 4 over 7. F equals negative 4 over 7. Piece of cake. Yay? Okay. Let's see what else we got. Thought we wanted to do more. So we have all real numbers. Let's do one that has no solution in it. So let's take a look at number 8. And you guys are getting the worksheets right now. If we look at number 8 and we say, okay, let's simplify this thing one side at a time. You could ignore the right side for a while. We're going to distribute on the left side 3d minus 3 times 8 is 24. And then You look at the right side, and there's nothing to do on the right side. It's just a regular 3D. It's already simplified. There's no distributive property here. There's no combining like terms. So we're just going to bring down the equal sign and bring down that 3D. So at this point, you want to solve. You want to get D by itself on one side. Now the problem is you have D's on both sides of the equal sign. You have it on both sides. You don't want it on both sides. So let's get rid of one of them. Your first thought probably is to get rid of this 3D by doing the opposite of 3D, which would be subtracting 3D. That way this will cancel out, and you do the same to the other side to maintain the balance. So what we have left is negative 24 equals, wait a minute, this also canceled out. So there's nothing there. Does that make sense? That negative 24 equals 0? What do you guys think about that? That's impossible. So whenever you end up with something impossible, you say no solution. Or the symbol for no solution would be like a 0 with a line right through it. Either one written out or the symbol is good for that answer. Take a look at 11 and 12. 11 might be confusing for some people because it has decimals. What could you do when it has a decimal? You could get rid of the decimal, one by turning it to a fraction, or another by multiplying everything by 10, and that'll move it over one decimal place. So if I multiply everything by 10, then this decimal will move over and it'll become a nice 12 as opposed to a 1.2. Does that make sense? If you have a fraction, yeah, you could multiply everything by the denominator, and that'll get rid of the fraction. But in this case, we have a decimal, and you could change it to a fraction, but I'm going to go with multiplying everything by 10. So I'm going to go everything by 10. Let me zoom in so I can show that, because there's not that much space here. So I'm going to go times 10 right here. I do not mess with the inside of the parentheses, because whatever I do to the outside guy, it's like if I do to the inside guys because of distributive property. So I'm not going to multiply this by 10 or this by 10, but I will multiply this by 10 and that by 10. So times 10 on the 2 and a times 10 on the x. Let's write our new equation down. That's going to be a 12 parenthesis x minus 2 close parenthesis equals 20 minus 10x. And now we could actually distribute the decimal. 12 times x, 12x. 12 times negative 2, that's negative 24. We have an equal sign. We have the 20, the minus 10x also. So there's nothing else to simplify on this side. There's nothing else to simplify on this side. Now it's just a question of getting x by itself on one side. So I'm going to go plus 10x. It'll cancel out. Plus 10x. So I could get x by itself on one side only. So I'm going to have 22x minus 24 equals 20. So I'm going to get x by itself. I need to get rid of this minus 24. So I'm going to go plus 24 to get rid of the minus 24. Plus 24. And of course we will have, let me write it, let me move it up then. We're going to have 22x equals 44. And if we were to divide by 22 to get the x by itself, we'll get x equals 2 as a final answer. By the way, all of your answers are posted on the back side of this worksheet. Moving on, I want to try to explain this in less than a minute. We have fractions here. How do we get rid of fractions? Multiplying both sides by the denominator. If you think about the LCD, which is 8 in this case, multiply both by 8 and that'll get rid of both. The 8's cancel. You're going to have a nice beautiful equal sign, a negative y. And over here, the 8 divided by 4 cancels and you'll have a 2 left over. However, you still have a binomial up here, and the 2 that's on the outside needs to get distributed to the inside. So I will get 6 plus 2y equals negative y. That's my new equation. And then from there, I just get y by itself on one side. I'm going to subtract 2y. Subtract 2y. That'll be 6 equals negative 3y. If I divide by negative 3 on both sides, I will get y equals negative 2. Y equals negative 2. I had to rush that. Sorry.